Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is how to read a nutrition facts on a food label. I got this from the FDA website, and I'll be very honest, like this is really difficult to do, but little at a time we'll get there together. So what you're going to do, you start at the top. So you're going to look at your serving size and how many servings there are per container. So if you were to consume the entire thing, how many servings are you having? Because that has a direct math relationship with how many calories you're consuming. So, because the number of calories and is amount per serving. Everything below this black line is based on amount per serving. You kind of see that there. So, if you were to have two servings, if you were to have the entire container, because there's two servings, you'd multiply the number of calories by 2 for a total of 500 calories total for the serving. So you just have to keep that in mind. You also want to try to limit the stuff at the top as much as you can. So your total fat includes saturated fat and trans fat. Now you can see that the 3 and the 3 adds up to 6, not 12. So you can infer that there are other kinds of fats that are not saturated or trans. They're probably omega-3s, which are pretty darn good for you. They're actually heart protecting and have antioxidant effects. So you also want to make sure that you're limiting cholesterol and sodium, which we talked about earlier, as well as sugars. Now I know I had mentioned added sugars. So we'll get to added sugars because this nutrition label is actually going to change, and I have an example of that. So then here down at the bottom in the blue, make sure that you're getting enough of these blue items, such as dietary fiber, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron. These are traditionally micronutrients that Americans are deficient in, so that's how they became part of the food label. And diets high in dietary fiber tend to keep you more regular as far as bowel movements, and actually help reduce your likelihood of developing colon cancers. So the last thing that you want to look at is this percent daily value. So it's based on a 2,000 calorie diet. And you can kind of see here down at this footnote, which is also down on this footnote, it says you should have 65 grams of total fat. So if you look here up at this food label, it says that 12 grams is 18% of this 65 grams that you're allotted throughout the day. So you have to keep in mind that if you're eating the entire thing, you're not having 18, you're having, 36% of your daily of your total fat for the day. You're not having 20% of your sodium, you're having 40. So you really, really, really have to watch out on these percent daily values. And we'll practice reading these later in an activity I have set up. So this is going to be the new label. Woohoo! We've been pushing for this forever. The old label is 20 years old, so we figured it was time to revamp it. So you can see that the calories, amount per serving for calories, is a lot bigger than it is now. And this is all set to change after the first of the year. And this is also bigger as well. So a serving size, it says, is 2/3 of a cup, and there's 8 servings per container. Not serving size, 2/3 cup, servings per container, about 8. So you can see here now that they've got, it did remove this calories from fat, but it did add as far as sugars, because if you look at food labels, if you look at the ingredients, there's so much more sugar in our food than there used to be, as evidenced by increased obesity rates in children, as well as increased diabetes rates. So controlling your added sugar is really important. And this is actually a comparison um, of two different types of yogurt, I do believe. So you can see that the total number of carbs is the same. Dietary fiber is the same, but because this says about 8, so this says 16%, but now here it does say 8 servings, so it says here it says 14. Total sugars is 12, and that includes 10 grams of added sugar. So make sure that you're looking out for this added sugar. And I did circle it here. So new label, what's different? Servings larger, bolder type. They updated the sizes, serving sizes. The calories are larger. Updated daily values. The actual, there's a change in nutrients. So we now have vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium, as these are now recorded to be the micronutrients Americans are still deficient in. Calcium and iron didn't change, but we got rid of vitamin C and vitamin A and replaced it with vitamin D and potassium. And actual amounts, and then a new footnote. So you're not getting the old footnote versus the new one. So, some nutrient deficits. These are the ones that are now on the label. We're talking about calcium. So you need about 1,000 milligrams a day. And calcium you can get in 3 cups of dairy products, low or fat-free. Almonds, broccoli, and oranges. Almonds have fiber, and they help lower bad cholesterol, that LDL. Broccoli has vitamin A and vitamin C in it as well, so you're covering a few different bases eating your broccoli. Plus it makes your hair curly. And then, of course, oranges have tons of vitamin C in them as well. And, when you're working outside or on a job site and everybody's sick, one person gets sick and everybody's sick. So it's really important to maintain healthy vitamin C levels. So we also have yogurt and soybeans, sesame seeds, and then, of course, cheese, almonds, and then some cinnamon, which goes really good in your eggnog this time of year. And then iron, which is also on that, which your body needs iron to produce energy and new red blood cells to prevent anemia. And you need 8 milligrams of iron a day. And sources include fortified cereal, leafy greens, and raisins, as well as, of course, red meats, egg yolk, dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, beans, peanuts, dried fruits, oysters, and scallops, which scallops are my favorite. And then some vitamin D. Vitamin D is used in international units, so it's measured in IU, so you need about 600 IU per day. And you can get vitamin D from milk and dairy, but also from egg yolks, fortified orange juices, and fortified breakfast cereals. Vitamin D is important as far as people with vitamin D deficiency are tired a lot more. They have thin, brittle hair. They have anxiety. And it's synthesized in your skin as in a reaction from the sun. So you need calcium and some sun exposure in order for your body to synthesize vitamin D, but you can get it in your diet as well. It's where that seasonal affective disorder comes from, is people up in the Northwest not getting the right amount of sunlight and getting depressed during the winter. But just FYI, a packet of instant oatmeal has 1/4 of the recommended daily allowance for vitamin D. You just have to be careful that it's not full of sugar. So getting the plain stuff and adding your own cinnamon to it and maybe blueberries are a wonderful way of getting all 3 of these nutrients for breakfast. And there's also vitamin D in squash, carrots, papaya, fish, mangoes, broccoli, eggs, cheese, some other things. So our goal, you guys are going to be working really hard for the next 35 years, and our goal is obviously to keep you healthy and working for as long as you can. So you just have to take good care of yourselves now so you can enjoy not working after retirement that much more. So does anybody have any questions? There's some contact information. And thank you for your time. I hope I didn't shock you too much with all the information. But enough fun and games. Let's end this on a pun note. Can I get a what? Yeah, I know it's a bad joke, but here's just a list of references for your knowledge, and we're gonna get ready to do our little our audience interactive um, project called This or That. So I will be available, and we'll get started on that shortly.